Okay, everybody, we're starting our presentation with Travis over here. Go, Travis!
Alrighty, yeah, my name is Travis Smith from the faraway land of Oregon. For a couple more maybe not.
Just speak louder, Travis.
I'm here to talk to you about the TeensyROM cartridge for the Commodore 64 and 128. Start with a little bit of history and how I got to this point. I started out as a youngster using the PET computer. Was the first one I ever used. I went on to the VIC-20 and then the 64, like a lot of people. And the 64 is where I spent most of my time in my teen years. Turned 18 and moved out and left the Commodore with Dad and went on to college and a career. So I kind of left it behind for most of my career. And I finally retired a few years ago and decided I still love technology and wanted some fun stuff to do, but just not for the corporate overlords. So decided to get back into the 64 and started purchasing them and repairing them to get myself refamiliarized with the architecture and started designing some little things for it. I did a wireless interface for the keyboard and a ROM selector and a couple other little things, but I always wanted to tackle the expansion port because that's where you can get the most interface speed type of stuff. So I've been using the Teensy module, for those familiar, for a while. It's a Arduino compatible architecture that uses much faster processors. It uses a 800 megahertz ARM processor on the Teensy 4, which I use for the TeensyROM. So I started some experiments, some prototypes, just making sure I could communicate over the bus, basically. So I should have brought a picture. I've got a proto board with wires sticking out all over the place just to kind of get things going. I wanted to see if I could emulate a ROM first, and that's where the name came from. So I got that going and got it emulating a ROM, and then kind of realized, hey, this could do some other things with this. So it's been about 2 years in the making now.
2 years.
The actual hardware design only took a couple of months. Most of my history was in electrical design, so knocked that out pretty quick. But software is kind of a never-ending journey here, and every time I add a new feature, people come back with 3 other ideas for other features to add, and I love it. It's great. It's just a little overwhelming. I keep a list of all of the requests and ideas and stuff, and kind of knock them out as time is available and interest peaks, and I try to do things that are unique. I know there's plenty of other cartridges out there for the 64, certainly, and but I wanted to try and focus on the things that would make the TeensyROM a little more unique. So I'm going to spend some time today talking about some of those features. So I'll kind of start out with the basics that most of these kinds of cartridges do, which is fast loading or emulation. So you can fast load from any, there's about 70 programs built into the firmware itself that come without any other add-ons, but you can also add an SD card or a USB stick to load from there. So CRT files are pretty straightforward to emulate. It's again emulating a ROM out there. So when you select a CRT file, all it has to do is load that off of the media, whatever it is, and be ready to look like a ROM to the C64. And so there's no actual transfer of data to the memory in the 64. So that makes that pretty fast, as you can see there. Picking one, copies it to RAM, and it's running. So the next thing I wanted to tackle was program files, which of course do transfer into the internal RAM. And one I like to show is Super Mario Brothers. So 48K, so that's what 3/4 of all the memory available in the 64. So if I hit return on it, running, so it's loaded and running. So compared to like a 1541 or something, it's pretty quick. So those are the basic types of files for games and applications. It also fast loads SID files. There's a SID player I'll talk about in a bit. Graphics files like the Koala multicolor and single color high res. You can read off of D64, D81, D71 files as well. Turn that down. Let's see, I should probably show some of those. So,
There it is.
oops. The picture files again are fast. So these are about 8K each, so not super big, but they load up pretty quick. Tell them in the classic rock there. And then about the SID stuff. I'm still starting. It gives a little bit of information from the header file of the SID in the top part here, and then you have some controls down below for playing back. So I might as well jump into that. Let me pick another one here. Again, the classic rock. You can hear that. So some features added lately are voice muting for SID. So you can play back a SID, of course, has 3 voices. You can mute any of those individually. You can see them over here. They turn red when they're muted, so you can focus in on one specific instrument if you want to listen, or if you're recreating it as shown there. Another feature is speed control.
Huh.
Wow. Fast version Fast version of what you were hearing. And again, the voice muting during all that. It also, the way it plays back SIDs adjusts speed depending on the SID itself is either a PAL or NTSC designated, and then of course the machine is either PAL or NTSC at any given time. So it actually adjusts the speed. This one's a PAL SID playing on a PAL machine, so that's straightforward. But if you have a mismatch, it'll actually correct the speed so it's playing back at the right speed.
Interesting.
There's a pitch change that is a little beyond my control at this point, but at least it plays back at the right speed, which is more than some. Let's see. So, moving on with the music theme. One of the reasons I picked, back up a little bit, one of the reasons I picked the Teensy is the main control module for this is that the developer of the Teensy spent a lot of time writing libraries for it. And USB host functionality, Ethernet functionality, USB device, SD card, all have pretty nice libraries already available for that. And if I had to write the USB stack from scratch, it would be a little bit prohibitive and probably beyond my capability, quite honestly. But he's written some great libraries that made implementing especially the USB host part, very straightforward, and made it has a lot of MIDI capability that I wanted to utilize and bring into that. So I'll show you some of that now. There's a few programs that'll take MIDI input and play it out through the SID chip. SynthCard is the most popular. I'll start with that. So I've got the USB keyboard connected right now. It's probably a good time to mention that any USB MIDI compatible device, I haven't found any that don't work yet. It's a pretty well established protocol, so I'd be surprised if there were any that didn't work. And a lot of people, when they think MIDI, think the traditional 5-pin DIN serial connector. Mm-hmm. And there's lots of adapters available for that 5-pin DIN to USB MIDI. So if you've got one of those types of instruments that use that, you can use the adapter to get it in there one way or another. So I don't have them hooked up right now. I can show you later if you want. But there's a USB MIDI guitar and a drum pad. I'll just use the keyboard for now. Disclaimer, I'm not a musician. I'm a big music fan. I love music, but I'm not a composer by any means. So I'll show you playing around. One of the nice things about SynthCard is it's got lots of presets for different music types or different sound reproduction through the SID, which makes it very popular for that. It also has a 6-channel mode, which, of course, the SID only has 3 voices, but this particular 64 has dual SIDs, so you can get 6 voices. You can actually put it into a 6-channel mode, so you can play 6 notes at once, so you can build a little more complex chords and stuff, not just 3.
Travis, what stereo SID do you have inside your machine?
I'm using the SID Kick Pico.
Oh, that's a new one.
The one that's integrated with DAC, the 2040 version. It's available from, I think it's 8-Bit Retro out of the UK.
Okay.
Developed by Frenetic, who I'm a big fan of. He's done a lot of different add-ons for the 64. And I actually have one of the original SID kicks as well, which is Teensy based as well, coincidentally. But he, on the latest version, the Pico uses a Raspberry Pi Pico, and that's what's in there now. And it's very configurable. You can have it emulate any version of SID, so you get the sound profiles from different versions. And it's a pretty nifty little device. And for not the rate that's classic SIDs are going for, if you want to buy a classic SID, you can get the SID Kit Pico for about the same price and have 2 on one. And to me, I think the sound is very good. I mean, I'm not a professional, but it sounds very authentic to me. I don't think I could differentiate an original SID from that myself, but maybe somebody else can. Okay, some other programs that do it. Station 64 is an interesting program. It's got a lot of capabilities and controls. Once it loads. Actually, it decompresses. There we go. So like I say, it's got a lot of low-level controls, but it doesn't have a lot of presets like SynthCard does, so people end up using that a lot. I also wrote one myself called MIDI to SID that's very primitive, but it gives you low-level control, it's SID register level to create the low-level settings and create your sound that way. And I also added since it's MIDI-based anyway, I wanted to print which note you're playing up there and on the bottom. Oops. So this one's only 3-channel capable, but get the idea there. I think that's most of the that's loud. Any questions on the MIDI portion? Move on from there. Maybe I'll talk about the NFC interface next. So NFC, near field communication, is a way that everybody's got one on their credit card, and their phones do it. And if you have a badge to get into a place that you have to swipe, that's NFC as well. Turns out the NFC readers, like this guy, are pretty readily available, AliExpress or anything like that, for usually less than $10. Actually, the prices have gone up a little bit lately with the current tariff situation, but they're still pretty cheap to get them, and it's just a USB interface that plugs right into the Teensy there. And then to operate it, so I've got a couple of the readers in cases here. So the electronics are just that, but there's a few case designs. It was originally developed by the Mister Group. Wizzo is the name of the guy who developed it for that initially. And then what happened was Ben Squibb from the UK, he developed the one-load games library, for anybody familiar. He saw the MR solution and came to me and said, hey, couldn't you do that with the TeensyROM directly in? And I got to looking at it and said, yeah, I think we can. And so we worked together on that, and this was the end product. So I've got some pre-programmed cards here, and it's basically just wand them across. So what it gives you is the ability to kind of get the old cartridge feel, because it's kind of like plugging in a cartridge, but just swipe it instead.
How much memory keep one of those?
Yeah, good question. They vary. There's a few different styles, but they vary from about 500 bytes up to 1K is about the range right now. So yeah, I should clarify, the program itself is not held on the cards. It's a path to whatever you want. So there's 3 sources available: the SD card, the USB memory stick, or the programs that come built into the firmware. And so when you program one, you're programming the path to the game or utility, etc. And when you wand it, it's reading that path and executing that file. Programming one is done on the TeensyROM itself as well. So I can go in and pick a game. I like to use Gorf as an example. Hit the left arrow and then it walks you through how to program. So I've got a card here, set that on there, hit return, successfully wrote it, and now this is a Gorf card. So
Wow.
And then you can execute any program that the TeensyROM can load, so any program, SID file, graphics, etc. I actually also recently added a random function on request. So I've got one program that's a random.
Yes.
All
All right. Oh.
There's the other side of it. So there's lots of NFC card styles. I mean, these cards are the most commonly used, and there's templates for these stickers, so you can make your own custom cards.
Okay.
But as far as the styles, there's the cards, there's these fobs that are pretty popular. They actually make stickers, so you can stick them on anything. People have done like little statues with a sticker on the bottom, so they can put the statue on there and it represents a game and whatnot. There's these little token things. I know one guy who printed out some little enclosures for these that make them look like a coin, and did a little coin reader using an NFC reader, so you can plop the coin in that was pre-coded for a specific game. So lots of kind of fun ways to do that. I think that's that part. We'll move on to other features, which is Ethernet connectivity.
There you go.
So CCGMS, again, comes built in with the firmware itself. With that, you can do the standard telnet type of stuff. So AT, DT,
Oh,
So,
there it is.
and I'm connected, but I should mention that it's an Ethernet connector. Don't currently have wireless, but I've got a wireless bridge connected to it for demonstration purposes. So yeah, RetroCramp, this is a pretty interesting little website, or not website, telnet site.
I'm just going to reset that up. I also have a text-based web browser available, so AT browse. Oops. Oh, I'm still connected. I need to exit. I don't know how to exit. Quit. Exit.
Uh-oh, not exited.
Doesn't want to let me out of Retro Campus.
Nope.
Those shut up fast.
Pull the plug.
Yeah. Right. Oh, no, it's... I should have saved that one for later. Oh, here. Okay, so AT browse brings up it goes into a special mode for browser capability, so it's got bookmark capability and things like that. So it's got a set of bookmarks built in, and I can jump to one. This is one Digital Man up in Canada created. Maybe it's going to connect to it. Oh, there we go. So he did some stuff for that. It's not great, but,
Not sure what that is.
yeah.
What is it?
I think his other one's a little better.
Oh, there we go.
Crude Petsky representation of the TeensyROM there. But yeah, most websites have a lot of graphics and whatnot, which of course we can't support directly here, but there's also a lot of text-based websites out there. And use those. Alrighty. I should really turn that up.
I see there are 80 columns. How does it work on 80 columns?
That's a program you can get that.
How does this
Oh,
compare
okay.
to, like that Ultimate cartridge? Is that in the same kind of space?
Yeah, there's a lot of
Cartridge?
similarities there for sure.
Yeah.
I try to, like I was saying, try to implement things that are somewhat unique, so I'm not just copying, but some of the basics like loading a program or a cartridge, emulating a cartridge is, roughly the same kind of feature, but
You got a Wi-Fi modem, and then the text browser, is that your own, or like you added it on the SD card?
the which one?
The text web browser, is that?
That one,
You
it's in
added-
the firmware. I did that myself,
Oh, you
yeah.
created that?
Yeah, I didn't see a lot of web browsing capability for the 64 out there. And like I said, limited scope because there's limited number of websites that support text only, but
Sure.
I wanted to get it in there anyway. So yeah, the 80 column mode is just a graphic representation of the 80 column thing. Of course, this is all stuff that comes.
Kawari Quick Change? Is that if you have a
so
Kawari
the
board?
Kawari VIC replacement, for those familiar in here. I like the Kawari because it gives you control of the clock, the system clock, and it allows you to immediately change between NTSC and PAL. So there's ongoing with the 64 compatibility issues. I was talking about SIDs earlier. There's a lot of games that only work on PAL, more so than NTSC, because a lot of them are developed in Europe. So PAL's important there, and there's also some stuff that only works on NTSC. So the point being, if you want to switch a Commodore 64 between PAL and NTSC, you have to replace the crystal in it and the VIC chip, which you don't want to have to open your 64 and replace a chip and a crystal, solder in a new crystal every time you change between them. So I like the fact that the Kawari takes control of that clock and allows you to just use this utility to switch between the two. Let's see, what else was I going to... Ethernet, I'll talk about a program that a user wrote. It's kind of hard to see here probably, but He calls it the TeensyROM UI, so it runs on PC. He has a command line controller as well that'll run on his multi-platform, so Apple and Linux are supported as well. But the graphic one is pretty nifty. Basically, it indexes everything on your SD card or USB locally, so you can immediately jump and to any game, SID, etc. And it has some demo modes, for example, the timer you can set so that you have it every minute. You program the time or to whatever time to launch a new game or a new SID. It actually accesses the HVSC SID library, which has a list of times, because it sounds counterintuitive, but actually knowing how long a SID is, how long the playtime is not a trivial task, believe it or not, because of the way SIDs are constructed. SIDs, they don't just contain data, they actually have code in them that gets executed at playtime. So when you run a SID, you're actually executing code within the SID file itself. And because of all that, there's not an easy way to just see how long it is, and it doesn't even throw a flag when it's done playing, and so that makes it all pretty convoluted. Well, Hex, the guy who wrote this, got around that by, there's a library of every known SID's playtime, and he downloaded that and tied it with his program here, so that you can play a SID and it'll time it. So you can do things like playlists and continue on through, sequentially through files. He also has a bunch of metadata from the OneLoad collection, so as you select different files, if you can see that down here. Sorry, I wish I could put this up there, but it shows a preview screen and a title screen for any games. So you can get an idea of what it's about. And it's got a random feature as well. So you can hit the little dice button there to virtually roll the dice and play any game. It's a good way to kind of discover new games and whatnot. He's recently been working on a DJ interface that controls the SID features. So the voice muting and speed control stuff I showed earlier has remote commands for that as well. And he's incorporated that, so you can kind of automate or tie MIDI instruments in through your PC, if you want to do it that way, to be able to control a SID very finitely and do DJ types of controls with that. Let's see. Okay, we'll move on to, forget what all I have to cover here. From UI, Diagnostics Reviewer. Basic commands, I don't have a good demo to show you, but I've got a, this basic with TeensyROM commands allows you, there's, I added some basic commands to be able to do fast load directly from the command line, so what people are more traditionally used to. So there's like a tload command and tsave, so you can save directly to the USB or load from it or SD card, and do the fast load that way if you want to do like basic programs and stuff. There's also some serial communication input and output types of basic commands, so you can plug a USB device into the TeensyROM and send and receive serial data. So you can use your 64 as a display, for example. If you've got some temperature controller that can output serial data, you can hook that up and display it all on the 64. And conversely, you could have the 64 collect data and push it out to some other system for that kind of thing. What else? Auto launch, the feature I've added recently. People asked about well, what if I just want it to be a game cartridge and not have to go through a menu and find which game you want to play? Well, I've got an auto launch feature to where you can go select the program or game that you want it to emulate, and from that point forward, every time you power up, it'll launch immediately into that game or utility. You can always get back to the TeensyROM menu with a push of the button, but at least initial power up, it'll go directly to it. And one good application of that feature is diagnostic tools. So if I go back to diags, custom diags, these are the ones that come built in, but of course there's lots of others out there. The dead test, and for those that aren't familiar, the dead test Max is a newly released kind of a replacement for the dead test. For those who aren't familiar, the dead test is a great way to, even if you have a system that doesn't boot at all, you can often plug that in, and it doesn't use the RAM in the 64 at all, so it can often work when your system won't boot at all, and it's a great diagnostic tool for finding if you've got a bad RAM chip or something like that. But point in all that is that if you had to come to a menu and select it like this, that's great, but if your computer is broken and won't even boot, then you're certainly not going to be able to boot and get into a menu to select anything. So what you can do is configure the TeensyROM to be just the dead test cartridge or any test cartridge, and then plug it into your machine under test, and it will boot directly into that. So this utility, this is the Desmond's dead test one, it'll work. You can literally remove a RAM chip from your 64 and it'll still work. It'll tell you which one's missing, but it'll work. But again, to get into that, you have to tell it to boot directly into it, so it doesn't try to boot to the main menu, which wouldn't work in that situation. There's two ways to program it. You can tell it to auto launch from and save that in the EEPROM, and you have to do that through the menu. But I worked with Matt on this, and his point was, okay, what if I've only got 164 and it's broken? How can I configure it to be a dead test then? And so with that input, I added a capability to put a special file on the SD card, an autolaunch.txt file, that just has the path in it to the program you want to launch, so that even if your only 64 is broken, you can take out the SD card and put that on there, and it'll become a diagnostic tool. I think that's most of the main features. I think I kind of rushed through that. Oh, I know, I did want to talk about, yeah, I'll back all the way up to MIDI for a second. I skipped something. So I talked about MIDI controllers. I should really turn that off. MIDI controllers all plug in through the USB-A port. And again, I haven't found any that don't work. You can also feed MIDI data in through a USB-B micro port, which of course is a device port instead of a host port. And that gets fed from a PC or any modern computer, so you can literally stream out MIDI data and have it play on your 64. So that's one way to do it. Use something like SynthCart to interpret that MIDI data and play it back real time. Another way to do it is a protocol called ASID, ASID, that uses the MIDI protocol, and there's for anybody familiar, there's a packet type under MIDI called sysx that can contain any data you prefer, and that's how other programs send actual raw data across MIDI as opposed to just notes. But they've adopted this protocol, ASID, that encodes the data in that sysx packet to be SID register specific data. So you can literally write to your SID at a very low level, and using that, there's a great website called DeepSID, which Deep SID has within it ability to play any SID file known to exist, literally. They continuously update it for any new SID releases, so any SID that's ever been created is available on there. It's over 50,000 SIDs. And you can actually play it back. It's got a SID emulator within the website, so you can go just play them right there, and that's great. But it also has the ability to output data in this ASID format that can be interpreted on the receiving end and turned back into SID data and played through real classic hardware. So in this example, I need to go to the ASID player on here. So this is my ASID player that takes that MIDI data in, converts it back into SID register data, and applies it to the SID itself. And then you can, out of here, so what's happening here is it's connected to the internet from my laptop, and it's streaming the data from the internet, and then streaming it back out USB as the ASID encoded data into the TeensyROM, back into SID data. So you can, through that, you can kind of stream SIDs.
Wow.
So the display here is, this is the 3 voices and the registers associated with each one, and some general registers. So each time one of those registers get written, obviously this particular SID is writing all of them in every frame, so it's not as descriptive as some of them are, but it shows you kind of what's going on behind the scenes as far as what's being played. Oops, I think I lost my internet.
Oop.
It's back. Oh, I think it just played through the end. And it can actually support up to 3 SIDs, so there's enough bandwidth to do 3 SID songs and string that through, and if you've got the hardware set up for that. And I've got the voice muting capability in this as well. So you can break that down as well. What else? I can change the set addresses. Of course, every SID's going to have a unique address to play it back.
Wow.
I don't have it set up. There's a great tool called ChipSynth 64, made by Plog Software up in Canada, that exposes all of the low-level SID registers on a PC. So it runs on a PC and has hundreds of presets, much more so than like SynthCard or anything like that. And the nice thing about that is you can then go in and even customize them to specifically, what waveform it's playing, envelope data, and things like that, and control your SID chip remotely through that, and it has MIDI input to that. So you can grow your chain even further by using a keyboard or whatever into your laptop, or you can use a DAW like Ableton or something that outputs MIDI data and feed that to ChipSynth 64, which can massage it into a voice, a predetermined voice, and then feed that out through, again, the ASID protocol into the 64 and play your real hardware with a lot of very low-level customization capability. Okay, I think that is, I probably rushed through that. I got the general idea. So I'll open it up for questions, if there's any questions.
Yes, so on your TeensyROM now, does it accept, I was unclear on this, does it accept D64s now?
Yeah, there is a bit of a limitation though.
Oh, okay.
Caveat, asterisk. Because the TeensyROM doesn't plug into the IEC port,
right,
the floppy port, and so it doesn't have the capability to support
programs that go out on their own to read more data off the floppy. We call
okay.
those multi-load
Right.
files. So it does support D64, 71, and 81 files, single load.
Okay.
So you can pick any file within it. You can navigate to a D64 file, open it up, and actually, I think I have one here somewhere.
Maybe.
Here's one. So
Oh, there it is.
D64 file.
Hero D64.
This one only has one file in
Okay.
it, but execute that and bring
There
it
it
up.
is.
So
Yeah.
it works well for single load files. It just doesn't do multi-load. As a future improvement, I've been working with the inventor of the meatloaf, which isn't very well heard of, but I recommend you check it out. It plugs into the IEC port and emulates a floppy, so you can do the standard 1541 emulation type of stuff, but it also has an internet connection, which is kind of cool. You can actually load from the internet as if it were a floppy. So for sites that are set up that way, you can actually...
in the cloud.
What's that?
In the cloud.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, the inventor of that's name is Jamie, and I've been working with him some because he's got a USB port on that. So the idea is you can plug in the USB into the TeensyROM and the other end of it into the IEC port, and then you have full floppy emulation through the
interesting.
TeensyROM. That's one of those future items that I should probably also mention. As this project has moved along, I had some basic goals in mind initially, and I've, in my mind, achieved those. But like I was saying earlier, I put out one new feature, and I get requests or ideas for 3 more, which is great. I put it on the list. For a short amount of time, I tried to keep up with them, and it became clear that there's no way I can keep up with all of the ideas and requests out there. So I keep a list and prioritize it, and work on the fun stuff first usually, which is usually something that might be unique to the TeensyROM that'll make it kind of stand out as opposed to just doing something that's been done before. But that list is growing, and that's great, and I'll keep it up for a long time. There's a lot of room left in it. There's 8 megabyte flash that holds all the program data, and I've used maybe a third of that so far, so there's plenty of room left for improvements. It's just time to develop them and implement them and get them into place. So it's an evolving project. I'm up to version 6.6, I think, and no real end in sight. Keep going. That was a long answer to your...
That's fine. That's great. So if I go to the internet and look for C64 meatloaf, I would find this device?
Yeah. He doesn't sell them, but they're pretty easy to make. You buy one little module, and you have to solder an IEC connector to it.
Okay.
So you do have to do a little bit of soldering, but not any components or SMT stuff. You just basically take one of these Arduino compatible modules and solder an IEC. Take an old floppy cable and cut it up and solder the wires to it, and you're off to the races. He's got some pretty good documentation behind it as well. I mean, it does a lot of the same things like the Pi 1541 or SD to IEC does as far as file loading, but like I say, what makes it unique is that internet connectivity that it has some unique features.
Other questions, guys?
If you have like a SD2IEC or floppy, can this load from there?
Yeah. I recommend that often for the multi-load type of stuff. It's a good complement to the TeensyROM because everything the TeensyROM does currently is through the expansion port. So you can still load stuff off of there, but you can also go to device 8 or whatever is connected to your IEC port. Makes a good pairing.
We have a little bit of time. Travis, can you connect one of your other instruments to the TeensyROM? I want to hear the guitar or the drum, or the drums.
The guitar, this specific guitar, I should put a disclaimer out here.
bought this kind of on a whim because it has a USB MIDI out, which is great, but the way it's implemented is less than ideal in my opinion. This box kind of separates the strings from each side, so you pluck here and play over here. But the weird thing about it is string muting, because usually you do that with your left hand to try and mute a string that's playing, but it doesn't pick that up. You can only mute on this side, so on your picking hands you have to like pick and mute on the same side, which makes it a little bit odd to say the least.
And how much was the cost on that little guitar device?
I think it was 170 or
Ooh!
something.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. Oh, I should also mention there's at least 2 or 3 devices out there. Actually, there's even a piece of software that's an even easier way to do it that will take the analog signal from a regular guitar and convert that to MIDI data.
Oh.
So you can literally take any modern good guitar, I just don't have one, and play it through. I've got a demo video, I've got a YouTube site for anybody interested. It's Lukash, if you're familiar with him.
I've heard
I was about to say every time that I say Lucas should be one of your customers.
He is, yeah, he's a great guy. So he did a couple demo videos as well using his guitar through some software and through the TeensyROM and playing with SID. So he's actually released a couple tunes.
Yeah, you just dropped the bomb there.
Let's see, okay.
Oh, there we are.
I mean, it's so good, and my wife has some of this song in the playlist.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, especially some remix.
Uh-oh.
I hope it will. I hope one day we'll do a concert around this area. We want to see it.
Concert of what?
Lucas.
Oh, okay.
Say please, it's Commodore 64 live.
Uh-oh. No signal. Oh. Okay.
Alright, not only do I not play guitar, but I especially can't play this one. So. And again, muting the right hand is a little awkward. Yeah, get the general idea. My music skill gets me. Let's see.
And now for the drums?
Yeah.
Now the drums are connected with a cable, or are you doing this with you?
Yeah, it's USB MIDI
Okay.
as well. Separated the hot swap. Oh.
Because the drum set I had like Bluetooth MIDI. I said Bluetooth MIDI, but it did have a MIDI port, but that also
5-pin MIDI or USB MIDI?
USB MIDI.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this one does too. I'm going to start over, I think. Oh, I know. It's because I unplugged the NFC reader. That's why it's taking so long to boot. I don't have a good drum sound modeled. Maybe you could help with that. But the idea anyway.
We have a synth card expert sitting in the back over there. Maybe he knows how to get a drum sound out of synth card.
I'm sure you could model one. It's got the noise generator, so it's certainly doable and has been done in many SIDs, but I just don't have one handy. So
All right.
each one's mapped to a note, so it's kind of like playing a keyboard, really. But
Not a drummer
Bongos.
either. So.
The Congos.
Yeah,
Congos.
Kind of like tuned tom-toms, right? One represents a note. That's that.
Other questions, everybody? Any other questions about TeensyROM?
Alrighty.
Okay, thank you, Travis.